I wanted to talk about directing today. I've been talking a lot about the various different aspects of directing. It seems so bright. I don't know why. There's something weird going on with the camera. I don't know. It just looks weird to me. Vision, marketing, team members. But I thought today what I'd like to do is boil it down to the one thing, the one skill that I think that is absolutely necessary if you want to be a good director. And I was thinking about that a lot today, and I thought, well, what, you know, if you had all those other things, but you didn't have one thing, and what would that one thing be? What would be the most important thing that you would have to make you a good director? And I think, for me anyway, I think that one thing is communication and the ability to communicate well. If you can't really communicate, I think you're not going to, all the rest of that stuff is great. The ability to market well, the ability to choose material, the ability to break it down, the ability to have a vision, to decide what you want, to know how you want the scenes to play out. All of that is really great, but if you can't communicate it, then all of that is sort of in your head and doesn't go anywhere and doesn't come out of your head, which of course it has to, because filmmaking is a collaborative art. And I don't mean just communicate like say what you want. I mean there's more to it than just say what you want. So let me tell you what I mean by when I say there's more to it than just say what you want. I think you have to be able to express yourself to all your department heads and your actors especially in a way that tells them that you understand who you're talking to, that communicates what you want, but also gets them on board, gets them excited about wanting to work with you, gets them excited about what you want, and gets them doing something that Bonnie Gillespie calls yes and, so that they want to contribute their artistic vision and their creativity to your artistic vision and your creativity. Because, at least for me anyway, I want people to contribute their artistic collaboration to my project. I want people to come in with ideas. I hire people that I know are good at what they do because I know they're going to come in with great ideas and with collaboration and with suggestions for their department that I'm going to want to listen to. Not that I'm going to take every single one of them. I don't always take every single one of them, but I'm going to want to at least hear them. It should feel like everybody is free to add what they want, and that speaks to your ability to communicate and inspire people's creativity and collaboration. That is a hallmark of someone who is a good communicator, in that they are able to inspire people to want to also to fire up their creative juices and collaborate on the project as well. For instance, when I meet with my DP, he's had the script, I've had the script. Generally speaking, it's a script that I've written, but not always. Sometimes it's a script that has been written by somebody else, and I've been tasked to direct the script. So I go through and I do a breakdown, a complete breakdown shot list. And he goes through and does a complete breakdown shot list on his own, completely separate and apart from me. And we sit down together and we go scene by scene, shot by shot, and compare our shot list together. Often the shots match because we're kind of in sync that way. And we've been working together. We've done 3 films and a web series together now. So, and it was a 12-episode web series. So we kind of in sync, but I'll tell you that Not every shot is the same. Never. And I'll have a shot that I want this way, and he'll have a shot that he's come up with a different kind of shot for that moment. And it's like, okay, let's talk about it. So I'll tell him what my thinking was behind why I wanted the particular shot that I have there, and he'll tell me what his thinking was behind why he wanted his particular shot there. And if I like his shot better than mine, we go with his. That's it. No, end of story. It's like, I like your shot better, we're going to go with yours. And so that's the one that goes into the final shot list. If I like his shot, but mine, I think, is the one that I think is going to tell the story better for whatever reason. I say, I really like your shot, but I think mine is going to tell the story better at that particular moment. I think it reveals this about the character or that or whatever. And that's the one I think we want to go with. And he's like, okay, fine, you're the director. But I hear him out, and that's the collaboration that we have. It's the same thing with my makeup head and my production designer and my wardrobe. And everyone that I work with, I tell them what I'm looking at, I tell them what I want, I tell them what I'm thinking about, and then they come back to me with suggestions. Well, what about this? Well, have you thought about that? Could we maybe do it this way? I was thinking that this would be interesting. If I like the idea, yay, we go with it. If it's like, well, no, that wasn't exactly what I had in mind, then we don't go with it. It's the same thing when you're dealing with your actors. I want my actors to feel like they come in with a character, that they have, I treat them as pros. I hire them because they're pros. I don't want to micromanage their process, and I want them to feel like they are respected for who they are and what they bring to the project. Only if I feel like they have come in with an interpretation that is completely off the mark in terms of the overall concept of the project, do I then want to take them aside and say, you know what, I think maybe we might want to think about it this way instead of what you've brought. That rarely happens. When you're working with pros, they're very, very good. And I never micromanage a line reading. Oh, hell no. Hell no. As a director, I love it when an actor brings me something that I had never thought of before, a line reading that I've never heard in my mind before. It's like gold for me. It's like, oh, wow, I never even thought that line could be said that way. It's usually more authentic, more organic, and beautiful. So I love that. So how do you develop this kind of trust, rapport, yes, and style of working with people as a director, as a producer? How do you do that? Well, I think you have to do it. I don't think you can learn it from a film school, quite frankly. I think you can learn a lot. I think you can make a lot of connections in film school. I think film school is great for networking. I think it's awesome for learning a lot of the crafts of filmmaking, like DP and a lot of the technical crafts, editing and things like that. But in terms of the creative crafts, I think those elements have to be learned by doing. Just like any other creative art, I think you have to learn it by doing it. You can't become a painter by studying painting. You can learn how other people became painters, and you can study the great art of the ages, but you yourself cannot become a painter by studying other painters. You have to sit down with a brush and some paints and start painting. You just have to. You can't become a musician. You can't learn piano playing by watching other people play the piano, by studying musical theory, I mean, that's all great. It's all a good foundation. But to learn how to play, to become a pianist, you have to sit down at a piano and play. The same way, if you want to be a great basketball player or a football player, you have to get on a field with a ball and play the sport. And I think it's the same is true with directing. You have to direct. But people will say to me, but Kathy, there aren't that many opportunities to direct, and it's maybe kind of expensive because you have to rent cameras and you have to, get locations and insurance and all this kind of stuff. No, you don't. I'm going to give you some ideas for how you can actually start practicing your craft and learning how to communicate with actors and others without actually going and renting cameras and getting locations and insurance and all that stuff. Here's how you do it. If you don't write yourself, I'm sure you have friends who are writers, and if you don't even have friends who are writers, you can go find written material that has not yet been produced. At a college, you can solicit for it on platforms like Stage 32 and Facebook or Twitter, wherever whatever your social network happens to be. There are a lot of writers out there who would like to hear their material performed by actors. Do a table read. Get some actors together. Actors love to perform. Writers love to hear their stuff performed. They want to hear it out loud, being read by actors. Awesome opportunity for you to work with actors as a director in an environment that you don't have to pay for anything except maybe, some sodas and cookies and somebody's living room. Do a table read of somebody's material and direct it. Awesome opportunity for you to start directing actors, getting your feet wet, working, getting those communication skills going. The other thing is, I'm sure you have friends who are out there working on projects, creating their own content. Go on their set, volunteer, be a PA, shadow. Just be there and observe. Watch how it's done. Watch what they're doing. See what they're doing right. See what they're doing wrong. In your mind, you pretend like it was your set. How would you do it differently? What would you say if it were you? Don't say it out loud. It's not your set. But in your mind, if it were you, what would you say? How would you run that set? How would you communicate to the various department heads? How would you communicate to your actors? How would you run that set? It gives you a sense of being on a set and what it's like to be on a set, even if it's a microcosm, even if it's just a little web series that's being done in somebody's house and backyard or wherever. It still gives you a sense of what it's like to work with all those crew people and all those actors in a setting. There are ways, be creative. There are ways to do this that don't tax resources that you don't have.